Hi, thanks for joining us today for another Stellar Cyber blog. I'm Steve Salinas, head of product marketing here at Stellar Cyber. Today, I'm joined by Trevor Smith, executive vice president at Brite. How are you doing today, Trevor?
Great, Steve. Thanks for having me today.
So, Trevor, obviously, there's always tons of different attacks that are in the news. We hear a lot from our customers and from partners like yourself. Is there anything that you're seeing, any interesting trends, or anything that you think people should be aware of?
Well, I think there's a lot of variation in the attacks and what we're seeing. What I'll say is that a bit of kind of a response we're seeing from our customers and where we're really helping benefit with the use of technology is cutting down the noise. Individual security tools seem to be continuously generating alerts that are only a part of the picture. And while it might appear to be a specific attack, it's distracting to have security teams be chasing down those individual alerts and trying to determine what the challenge and the problem is. Whereas what we're able to do with the Stellar Cyber platform and the XDR is get a more clear picture and see that maybe the endpoint detection solution is throwing off a bunch of alerts, but it's done its job. It's blocked or stopped some type of activity. But now we're piecing that together with identity information and maybe network details and user or asset information to really get a more clear picture and understand where that is in the attack chain. And is it really truly something that needs to be investigated and remediated?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I was actually just talking about that earlier this past week. We see a lot of security teams that are just struggling to get through their high priority alerts and leaving a lot of things that either are sitting there uninvestigated for a long, long time. But if you start to, just like you're saying, if you start to look at like the medium and low, plus maybe log events, you look at all that together, you might be missing a major attack. So I think that is something that we hear pretty consistently from customers and partners like yourself.
Yeah. The other part to that too is, the identification of where the vulnerabilities are in the organization and then elevating a security threat to those particular assets or category of assets based on the vulnerabilities that exist there. And maybe they haven't been patched because the operations team hasn't gotten to it, or they're not able to do it because of the type of asset it is, or legacy operating system or operational technology, whatever the case may be. And so taking that into account has been really, really critically important today in this age as well.
So, Trevor, now we're getting into kind of our big industry conference season with two big conferences coming up. And I always think about this time of year. It's always great to see what the industry is doing with new technology. And, I think that we do a good job as an industry of trying to adapt and take use of new technology like generative AI, for example. But I do feel for the security buyers, the folks that are out there looking at new tools, because for one, they typically have a SOC that's just chock full of tools already. And I think unfortunately, if they look at all these tools and like the improvements that they deliver, a lot of them probably aren't delivering what they think. So what when I think about this, what's really the underlying issue? It's not, I think the tools are great and you always want to make sure your tools are up to date and take advantage of them, but it's just not about tools, right? I mean, there's a lot that goes into delivering security.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Steve. I agree on the industry events are really great to see all the new innovation that's coming out and from our perspective to be educated on, hey, what innovation or advancements are occurring both within existing tools and adding to features, capabilities, but also new approaches that are necessary. But you're right, like security teams are just inundated with tools. And when you always sit down with customers at the beginning of the year or whatever throughout the year, all right, what is your plan? What's on your roadmap? They typically say, I don't want to buy any more tools. I want to get my existing tools to work better, right?
Right.
And focus on that. Now, invariably, they're going to purchase some technologies and some capabilities throughout the year, and we understand that. But optimization of those is really, really important. And we've seen a true benefit of that within the Open XDR platform of leveraging our customers' existing tools, getting more value out of those tools, utilizing the data they're generating, but also making sure that they're configured properly, right? If they're sending off bells and whistles, but no one's watching it, that's the whole target issue and why SIM came about in the first place. But it's also, is there a way that they can configure it differently to prioritize the alerts and the information to get a earlier warning sign? If we can detect faster, which we're able to do, we can respond faster and we can limit the potential impact of a breach. The other parts of this too is what we've seen as a trend this year is helping, not just this year, but really importantly is helping customers understand the potential quantification of risk and how a particular tool will help reduce the breach impact to the organization. And so they can make educated decisions if they invest in that particular tool or they optimize the tool or they hire a resource, how is that going to help them reduce the risk to the organization? So I think that's been a key initiative. Instead of just security professionals saying, hey, I want to buy this. Now the financial teams or executives in the organization are saying, okay, well, how's it going to impact the organization?
Right.
How's it going to reduce the risk to the organization or potential breach? So we're seeing a lot more requirement for justification around the solutions.
It's just crazy. Like there's so much need for security resources and they're just not there. But I think, again, that's where companies like yourself can really fill the gap for a lot of security teams. And I think whether it's they completely outsource, they do some sort of co-managed approach. I mean, is that what you're seeing as well?
Yeah. We always offer the co-managed approach. To every single one of our customers, we provide access to the full platform that our analysts have access to. And so that if they do have resources that want to be dedicated to looking at the platform, they can do so. If they just want to investigate a particular incident or activity, they have the opportunity to do so. And, our customers range from those who have dedicated resources in it and others who never, ever log into the platform and others that sit in the middle. But we want to provide that capability. You're absolutely right about the skill shortage. I mean, it's a challenge. And so when in our conversations with customers, we want to help them utilize their valuable resources for tasks, for activities that are going to help not only protect the organization, but move it forward.
Yeah, I think that it's such a good, while there's still such a challenge with these security teams to keep their organizations secure, I think now more than any time in the past, there are different options. And I think that's great for teams. It's not, you're not in this alone. They don't have to be in it alone. So I think that's just a major thing that people should consider. I think they should definitely consider that.
Well, yeah, and it's been received really well, especially because maybe today they don't have the resources, but they're hoping to get to a point where they will. And then they can make the investment slowly, knowing that we're watching and protecting the organization. And then the other cases where maybe they have a dedicated resources and they lose one, right? They still have us backing them up, but they have the opportunity to put their resources in place and utilize the platforms that are leveraging existing tools and watching the organization.
Okay, Trevor, before I let you go, I try to ask everyone in the space. It's obviously an extremely hot topic these days, generative AI. You'll see a lot of tools adding this capability to their products. What's your take on Gen AI on the impact on cybersecurity?
Well, there's a huge impact on cybersecurity. We're seeing it be incorporated into so many of the tools and capabilities that you and I were talking about. I think there's a real true play in how it can help create greater efficiency. As you know, the platform that we've been utilizing has been using AI since the onset, and we've seen astronomical improvements over traditional SIMs by utilizing AI for detection. And I see as we add Gen AI into that, it'll help take the information that's being provided and disseminating that into a way that non-cybersecurity individuals can understand. And that's how we've been using it today, is taking the alert information and the details and then utilizing it in some of the summaries. Now, currently where it stands, you always have to have that checked by our analysts, and they're reading through it and making sure that it's accurate because of where it is. But eventually, I think we'll get to a point where it doesn't have to be, right? And it can be utilized in a way that it creates efficiency, and more efficiency, especially with the skills gap that we have, is very welcomed.
Yeah, I agree with you. And you'll notice that we just recently announced our Gen AI Open XDR Investigator, which I like. And the simplest way I explain it is that it gives you the ability to have a conversation with the platform. Just like you're saying, you don't have to, be a security whiz to write some sort of queries, but you can ask it questions and get answers.
I mean, that was one of the things that really attracted me to the Stellar platform many years ago was we didn't need to be able to write queries, but now you've even taken that and making it, we always had the ability to do it, right? But we didn't need to because we could find information so readily available within the platform. Now, being able to take it even further to use a natural language, to do further investigations, it ties into that co-managed component that we were talking about before, right? Because now we have individuals who we build custom dashboards for them. They have readily available information. They can find things really quickly and easily within the platform. But now using Gen AI, they can even do more.
That's great. Yeah, I completely agree with you. I'm really interested in seeing how this goes. Well, Trevor, thanks for joining me today. If anyone wants to learn more about Brite, where should they go? Where can they find you guys?
You can find us at Brite, BRITE.com, and look forward to connecting with you.
Great.
Again.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us, and have a good rest of your day.
Thanks so much, Steve.